When I first heard the word utopia, I had the same belief as most people because we will hear that word and think, that's not really possible. It's not possible in my life to experience that utopian state, and it's not possible in our world. And recently, we might look at the world and think that it's exactly the opposite, like a dystopia. And Wilhelm said that's not true. That's not true for any of us. And you may have felt something within you that started to move that says, no, that's not true either. And you may have felt it on this day, on November 29th. And we think things are happening accidentally. They are not. When I came to do this video, it popped up on my screen that today, November 29th, was C.S. Lewis's birthday. I thought that's pretty prophetic because I've been listening to inspirational works from him for the longest time, because we always want that kind of confirmation of who we are and what we believe. And there are always those who have come before who can give us that type of confirmation, and I found that with C.S. Lewis, so that was pretty prophetic to come up today. But when I first received the word utopia from Wilhelm, I said, that's not possible. My life was in disarray. My life didn't make sense. I'm looking at the world, and I'm thinking that's the same case. You may have felt that way, and you may have felt that way in your life for the longest time. And I'm telling you that's not true. You're here to participate in the restructuring of our world, and that will happen when you decide to step into your authentic self, and that's when you will feel your utopia. And that's what I'm going to do today. We never know who we're going to become in life. It's not possible because it happens in our consciousness, and it happens as we live and as we grow and as we come to understand things. And it also occurs in our world. It's not we're not separate from what is occurring in our world. It just feels that way at times until we can find our unique place and own that and become the empowered people we were meant to be. Everyone's not going to do that because it does require us to move into our consciousness and decide to deliberately change it, to move to something greater that has existed within us and something we may not have believed, something we couldn't think we could accomplish. And times of great stress, that causes you to find it because now what do I do? And many people are at that place, and I'm at that place today, because you can't hold back what you discover and what you're meant to bring to the world. And what I know is that every single person was meant to bring something to the world that would be of value, that would cause them to live a great life, that would cause them to contribute to our society as a whole. I couldn't have told you before how I knew that, and I will tell you I doubted it. Like you may have doubted what you have been given or what you thought you were meant to do in this world. That's how we grow. Doubt is always going to be there, because the thing that we are going to accomplish is still in front of us. And we can't know it until we look back and say, oh, this is who I've become. And then you reach this place in your life where you say, this is who I am. And then you feel it and you can own it and you feel empowered and you discover, I've become a master of my life. And that is when you reach that place of self-actualization. And this is exactly what Wilhelm has given to me, given to all of us, and given to our world. Those words seem too big for me to say, except they've been proven, and been proven through my life. I'm 75 years old, and this work has healed everything, taken me through all kinds of difficulties which I could never explain to people before because I didn't understand the mechanism. We're always discovering how our world operates. We've heard of things like, the quantum field and all of that, but we may not understand what that has meant, or we couldn't have seen it in operation. Wilhelm gave us a way to see it in operation. I went into my group this morning, my men's group, and about 120 people there this morning, and the leader of the group, again, nothing's accidental, the leader of the group decided that he was going to show us these photos of centuries old, saying cycles, talking about we move through cycles in our world. And he started talking about each one. And then he started saying, well, he's traveled so much. He's been to all these different countries. So he has a lot of information. And he reads all this information every single day. So he knew things. He predicted that Clubhouse, that thing was going to be going away. He was correct, because trends happen. Energy changes, and energies change in our world, and we're all affected by it. And our planet moves through the same thing. I didn't know that that's what Wilhelm was giving us. I'm just saying because many people could have never figured me out what I was doing all these years, and I didn't know either. But I do today. I knew that I was supposed to bring, I wanted anyway, to believe that I was going to bring something to the world that was going to make this different, so we would see something different. I've had that since I was a child. And when you put something in your consciousness that you really know is your purpose, and you have a dream and you hold on to it and you keep believing it, even when everything is knocking you down, even when everyone is telling you no, that's not true, and you keep going, that is because your purpose is speaking to you, the reason that you were born, and we all have that. Mine was hidden for the longest time, and it's no longer that today. And it's just, again, the synchronicity of this day could not be lost on me, and probably not on you. You may have felt things, because everything is energy again. You may have felt that, okay, now I'm tired of being my old self. I'm tired of being where I was, and I want to do this new thing that everybody is feeling at this point. And that's what I'm giving. Now, you could have doubted yourself forever, because I did that. That's a natural part of it. When I was given this information a couple years ago, I said, that's not possible. Even when I had the proof of it, even when it was being shown to me. That is to say that we all have cognitive dissonance, meaning when we haven't seen something done before, it is challenging for us to accept it, challenging for us to believe what is possible. It was for me, even though I lived it. And I've seen many other people who have done mind-body healing, who have created great works of philosophy. And I can go back to think about Nietzsche, and I thought, well, I couldn't be that, or Carl Jung. Well, obviously, Wilhelm was giving me that. And it was all organized because we start to understand the organization of our world. I could have never talked about something from the quantum field before because I didn't know that was occurring. I didn't know it was coming through me, just like you don't know the limits of what you can achieve, because it's always about breaking limits. And so there's one message that I'll show you that talked about this, and it came through, and I repeated it this year, and it's on the site today, but I'm going to give you a link because I also posted something else that finally explains what this work is. I was called out on this at Thanksgiving, and my nephew said, oh, well, what is this supposed to do for people? What is this work going to accomplish? I said, oh, let me find out, because I couldn't explain it. I couldn't have explained it to anyone before. You may have something like that as well, but you will come to understand it, and you will be able to explain it, and you will come to understand what your life purpose is, because you do have it. We all do. It just comes at different times. There's also timing in your life when it's meant to come about. You do have a divine plan. I can say that so much now because that's something that people don't believe or think it was kind of made up or was some fantasy thing, and it's not. I know each person has it because it was revealed to me. This was obviously my life path, and I would tell you that I resisted it, and I probably would have told you I wouldn't have chosen it. And that was the one thing I had stayed away from, using things like I'm a chosen one. And you may have felt that. You probably are. If you probably came to this video, you probably are. Because you're knowing that something is going on within you, and now it's ready to come about. And the timing is always really accurate, which is why you might have been feeling that. But this one message I want you to see because it gives a lot of context. If you can imagine your life where you know that you learn something new every day. You can think back to when you were going to school. You knew that you would go to school and every day you would get something new, and then you would go to a different grade and you would advance and you would know so much more. We all do that. Our civilization does that. Our collective consciousness does that. Wilhelm didn't do that. They were giving me things in what you could consider the quantum field because I was being directed, and I didn't understand that since 1989. But on this day, I put up the messages that says Utopia is attainable. I was given that before, which I doubted. I said, I'm looking at everything happening. That couldn't possibly be. And then I go back to see, well, what was I given? And then you go back to 2008. This is part of the cycle, which will make sense soon. A 17-year cycle. There are different lengths of cycles, which I'll explain. But this one, 2008, there are no mistakes, but merely a purpose that escapes your present level of awareness. And that's for each of us. We can't know it when it's happening, and it builds. And then you go to the next year. I put some questions in there to help you, because as you go through these and ask yourself the questions, you will see what Wilhelm has given us. And then the next year, a condition that is paramount in your achievement of an enjoyable life experience is a state of continually eliminating the idea of mistakes from your thinking. We'll screw up a lot of things. I've done tons of them. And now I can see, but I was given the answers to all of it. So you will know that whatever you thought you did wrong or moved in the wrong direction was guiding you somewhere. And you keep finding it, and eventually you start to accept it. And that's when you start to allow the energy of yourself to come in. You start to allow the energy of abundance and all to come through. I didn't do that because it was challenging to accept this. I didn't know. I'm saying this because we will each have something of that nature. It's just going to be in different forms. Then you'll go through this and you'll see all of the messages. And then you'll see also this, a channeling session that was done a while ago. It was a year ago. But when you listen to it, it'll appear like it's happening now. And there's other information that you'll see at the bottom. And I'll leave you those links. But we come to understand the human existence over time, and each of us is meant to bring something to that understanding through what we have lived. And there's no one separate from that. We just decide how much we're going to evolve, how much we're going to believe in ourselves, and how much we're going to trust the universe. And trust and faith are really important elements that we use in our lives. But then the thing that I had to do to explain this to everyone and why I must change, because when you discover that you're holding something that could make a huge difference not only in an individual's life but in the world, then you have to do it. And I hit for myself, as you may have done, but that's no longer possible, because you reach a state of consciousness where you see beyond some of the limitations that we have put on ourselves, because that's all that happens. Individually and collectively, we just hold on to things. And when you hear about the big shift that was happening in our world, or you're looking at the world and wondering why is it falling apart, it's not falling apart, it's coming together. And it's just waiting for each of us to own who we are to cause that to happen. It'll look like everyone else is controlling us, but it's never that. It is us. It's individually and also collectively. We just come to understand that, and that's why we have different civilizations. That's why we can look back and what our this morning what I was seeing in that meeting, showing the huge pictures of all these different elements of civilization that have occurred over time, and we're in the middle of creating a new one. And that's exactly what's going on. And it just depends on how much you're going to love yourself. It was something that I was thinking about. You will have something in your life that will show up at times that you're not expecting it. And it'll be a memory. And it'll tell you, oh, this is what I was meant to come to understand. And there's nothing accidental in your life. You just figure it out. When I was raised, I was a Christian Scientist. That's what the church that we went to. And I didn't understand any of it, but there was one thing I remembered, this prayer that we would do all the time. Divine love always has met and always will meet every human need, since to all mankind and in every hour divine love supplies all good. And I would sit there as a kid and think, what does that mean? Did you try to feel it? What does it mean? And then you start to understand they were talking about energy. Energy of love is the highest energy and form of energy that we can possibly experience, because it doesn't hold any judgment of us or others. It just doesn't. And so now that made sense to me. Is that how I was accomplishing a mind-body healing? I know that it was, because when I wasn't experiencing that, I was running from myself, and I was disconnected from what could come through, disconnected from what I was being given. Even though I'm walking through all these horrible, difficult things, I'm still doubting, as you might have done. That's just a process that we each move through in our individual ways, and our world does the same thing. It can look like it's all coming about. It is not. So I put together this document to show you what Wilhelm has given us, why I couldn't have explained it before, because we had to wait for something else. We had to wait for artificial intelligence. As we live, we start to develop new things. We can develop in our technology, but we can also develop it in our ability to use our consciousness and our ability to see something different that we could create in our lives and also manifest in our world. And that's what came through with Wilhelm. And so now I can explain what it is. So, as you go to the website, Any Advice for Today, again, I'll leave these links. You will see this message that I placed because I said, let's explain this to them. Wilhelm's unprecedented alignment. Something unprecedented has happened. For 36 years, daily spiritual guidances align precisely with universal energy patterns, creating a documented curriculum that was structured across time without human knowledge of the patterns it's synchronized with. The, this, the evidence proves that structure exists. The messages show you how to use it. Your life is the place where it matters. And this is why I say your utopia is attainable, because that's for each of us to discover. And again, the process is the same. When we move there, we feel quite different. The discovery, for 36 years, I received daily spiritual guidances from a source called Wilhelm. I published these messages beginning in 2008 without knowing they contained a hidden structure. Years later, I discovered that the messages delivered on the same calendar date across 17 years build progressively on each other like a curriculum written across time. More remarkably, these messages align with astronomical events I had no knowledge of when I received them. Guidance about releasing control arrived during eclipses. Teachings on flexibility came through during Gemini full moons. Messages about inner strength appeared as the 2008 financial systems collapsed. I couldn't have designed this. I have no astrological training. The architecture revealed itself, verifiable by anyone willing to check the dates, look up the events, and read the messages. Nothing like this has been documented before. Channel material with this duration, this level of documentation, and this kind of external verification simply doesn't exist elsewhere. But the point isn't what happened to me. The point is what it means for you. And this is the part that I was having difficulty articulating, so now everyone will understand it. Proof your transformation has purpose, and I've always known that about every single person. It's guidance if guidance this precisely structured exists, synchronized with cosmic patterns across 17 years, then the challenges in your own life aren't random. Your struggles have timing. Your breakthroughs have context. You're moving through the same astronomical cycles that shape this curriculum, which means you're being guided through thresholds, whether you recognize it or not. Permission to stop fighting your own evolution. Wilhelm's central teaching is that transformation is natural, not punishment. What feels like loss is restructuring. What feels like ending is clearing space. When you understand that difficulty is often development in disguise, you stop resisting the very process designed to free you. A framework for self-ownership that empowers rather than burdens. Taking responsibility for your life isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming creative power. Wilhelm teaches that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but a conscious participant in your unfolding. This isn't positive thinking. It's recognizing that your response to life shapes what life becomes. Connection to something larger than yourself. Individual healing and collective evolution are the same process. As you release old limitations, you contribute to humanity's expansion. Your personal work is never just personal. This understanding transforms self-development from self-improvement into service. Verification that guidance exists. Most spiritual teachings ask you to believe. This work asks you to verify. The dates are documented. The astronomical correlations are public record. You can check for yourself whether the alignment exists, and if it does, if guidance this precise has been operating for decades, what might that suggest about the guidance available in your own life right now? The evidence: 36 years of documented alignment. What we can demonstrate: 13,140 daily messages across 36 years. Progressive teachings building on each calendar date across 17 years. 7 detailed examples from 2005 showing precise astronomical alignments. 0 astronomical knowledge by the receiver when messages were received. Patterns discovered after by independent examination of the archive. Mathematical impossibility of coincidental alignment. Publicly verifiable astronomical data. Anyone can check. And the 36-year framework. I began, as you many know, in 1989, and that was an energetic shift. I was being guided, we're all being guided in ways we don't understand maybe at the time. Saturn-Neptune conjunction begins a 36-year cycle. I received the first Wilhelm message within 5 days of this rare astronomical event. Then 2012, which we all have seen to be a change we have known. If anyone studies that or the Mayan calendar, you may have heard of that being an important year. You can think back in your life. Neptune enters Pisces for a 14-year transfer. Wilhelm's message 6 days later: the present is your gift. They gave us everything we needed to know. Then 2005, which is the year that we're in, and this is again this morning in that men's group, that's the first thing our leader said. 2025 is going to be the most transformational year in humankind, and that is true, and we're all feeling it, but maybe not in ways that we imagine. Okay, multiple cycles converge. This is 2025 to 26. Saturn-Neptune conjunction completes a 0 Aries complete reset. Wilhelm's messages speak of the restructuring and the day you evolve. Critical understanding. The 7 dates analyzed in detail are examples of a universal pattern that exists all 365 days and 365 years. The architectural alignment pervades the entire message archive. And again, this is something I could have never known. You are carrying something you might not have known that will be revealed as you keep taking the steps on understanding who you are. And these are some of the dates that they went through to verify. I just put them all in there, the 17 years, which again was surprising. Each message was received years before the corresponding energy event. I had no astronomical training or awareness of these alignments when recording the messages. The correlations were discovered by others examining the archive afterward. I'm saying that because I want everyone to know I never was even going to publish them myself. It was just someone started finding them in 2008, which that wasn't accidental either, I believe, and so that's when they first became public, and the ones that I have recorded that are going into this work. Why this matters for our world. We are living through a collective restructuring. Institutions, systems, beliefs, ways of living and that seemed permanent are dissolving or transforming. For many, this feels like chaos or collapse. Wilhelm has been preparing us for this moment since 2008. The messages identify 2012 as containing everything we needed to know for navigating this transition, with subsequent years building practical application of those fundamental teachings. What this work offers the world is a reframe. This isn't breakdown, it's breakthrough. That is for each of us and for our world when we take the steps in ownership. Humanity is moving through a developmental threshold, not a catastrophe. The disruption has purpose. The uncertainty is fertile. If enough people understand transformation as natural rather than threatening, if enough individuals stop resisting their own evolution, the collective navigation of this period shifts dramatically. Fear gives way to participation. Resistance gives way to co-creation. Your healing contributes to this. Your willingness to grow contributes to this. The work you do on yourself ripples outwards in ways you cannot see, but that matter enormously. We may have all heard those things in the past, and as I did, but Wilhelm just proved it, and has proven it through what I have lived. So, for this to be a coincidence, I would need to have expert astronomical knowledge, which I have none, perfect timing across decades, never looked at anything like that, thematic consistency per date. I could not have, and prophetic accuracy. No, I doubted a lot of it, and you doubted something within yourself. The reality is, don't study astrology, messages received naturally, dates not chosen strategically, patterns found by others, alignments within days and hours. The probability of this occurring by chance approaches zero. 365 dates plus 36 years, 13 messages. Each date contains progressive teachings. 7 examined dates align with 7 different energy peak types. The 36-year alignment from beginning to completion. Multiple correlation labels. This is not about astrology again. It's about energy. When we understand that the way we move through our lives and think about ourselves is energetic and we can gain control of that, we live much better lives. What we're actually demonstrating, we're not asking you to believe in astrology. We're showing you documented evidence that a consistent source of guidance has operated for 36 years. This guidance aligns precisely with measurable university energy cycles. The receiver has no knowledge of these cycles. The probability of coincidental alignment is negligible. The messages demonstrate prophetic accuracy and architectural design. You don't have to believe any of this. You're invited to examine it. Pick a date significant to you. Read the what Wilhelm offered across multiple years on that date. Look up the astronomical events. Notice the alignment, or don't. Then ask yourself, if guidance this structured exists, operating through someone with no knowledge of the patterns it was synchronized with, what does that suggest about the guidance moving through your own life? You are not alone in your transformation. You are not random in your struggles. You are moving through something larger than you can see from the inside. And that something has architecture, purpose, and timing. Wilhelm's work makes this visible. Your life is already living it. And here's the conclusion. A consistent source of guidance has been operating for 36 years. The guidance aligns with universal energy cycles. I had no knowledge of these, and the probability of this being coincidence is mathematically negligible because I never studied anything. If this guidance exists, structured across decades, synchronized with cosmic patterns, then your own transformation is not random. Now that's something that I have known and couldn't explain to others because I had to live it. I had to live it to know that it was real, because what happens is when you keep moving to a higher state of consciousness within yourself, magical things will feel like they're happening or occur for you. They will feel magical, but they're not. They're just a natural result of us not resisting who we can become and moving to a higher state of consciousness. This has been difficult for many people to explain or understand, as it was for me. But I have many people who are in this program now, and now I want them to understand it because I will be completing this work. I'm saying this because I doubted myself, as we all do. When I put out this work in 2021, I said I had to test this. And I only gave them 31 episodes, 31 lessons, 31 messages of this. That's all they did, and they transformed, and you'll hear that in the video, in the testimonial. But I didn't know why, and then I stopped myself. That's where you can do self-sabotage as well. You'll discover something that you couldn't believe you had done, and then you start to hold yourself back. And I did that. And so I'm letting everyone know I didn't know what I was doing, as you don't know either. I didn't know I was doing this because no one had done it before, so it was challenging. But now I'm embracing it because I know that anyone can live the life they're meant to have. We can move to a higher state of consciousness, create something quite different in our lives and also in our world, and this is all being given to us. So now that's what this will do for someone, and that's what it will do for our world. And so I'm going to be I put up an offer. I said, this is challenging. I said, I'll take 10 people at this rate of $300. I said that because I want you to prove it. Now that's ending by Monday. That'll be gone. It'll be back to the 2,400, which is what many people have already paid who are in the work. And so I'm going to honor all of that, and I'm going to continue working with them through all of this work and putting it all together so that there's a complete philosophy that anyone will be able to use. I have if you've listened to any of the channeling sessions, Wilhelm would say they've given me enough information to write books forever, and that's absolutely true. If you see how much is there every single day for 36 years, so and then to have the results, everyone is not going to take on this work. I do understand everyone is not going to experience necessarily the results that I did because you have your individual plan. However, I do know that if someone is diligent, someone is persistent, they can achieve the same kind of mind-body healing that I have, which has been documented. Many of the things were sought to be incurable. Nothing is incurable. We just have limitations on our thinking. That's all. We have it individually and also collectively. But Wilhelm has given us something new. And that's why it was unprecedented. But I hope this explains it all, and I'd love for you to take a look at all the information. I will leave links in this video, and you can check it all out. And again, look at the offer, and you can join it anytime because we'll be moving to a much higher level now. I'm doing this because I also, I'm not a tech person. I'm not someone who loves doing things like, I don't even love doing social media or any of that. So I'm going to be hiring other people to get this together and partnering with others who can get it to a much larger audience. Then there are others who are studying this because they've never seen anything like this in human consciousness. So I'm meeting with I met a week ago with a person who was a basic mental health and studies the intuition of all. And so we had an hour and a half meeting, and we're doing another one because this is something that needs to go to many more people. We are not limited as humans in what we can achieve, and now you'll understand why. See you soon. Check out all the work